Jen from the Mom Pop Quilt Shop here. Welcome to Weekend Project. We're working on a little baby quilt for my neighbor, excuse me. And she just had one, and super cute, love the name. I don't want to put the name on it though, just because, I don't know, I didn't want to. Anyways, I made one for their son when he was born, so I wanted to make one for their little girl. So when I saw her the other day, I thought I'll ask what color she has or what color she's looking for in the baby quilt. And she said green, pink, and yellow. Well, I don't have a lot of yellow in my collection, which clearly I need to up. Chick, bye. So anyways, I chose a little bit of turquoise and a little bit of purple, a little bit of purple and white, and a little bit of silver, and just made this pretty much little strippy quilt, okay? And it's a smaller version of what I found in this little magazine. I did Star Kisses, which was last weekend's project in Long Arm Wednesday. It's in McCall's Quick Quilts, February and March of this year. 12 fast and fresh projects, so and obviously I really like it because there's like 3 in here I'd like to do. That was one. So this is the other one. So I thought, okay, we'll give it a shot. So I don't want to make it as big as it says on here. So I did a smaller version, but and to make sure you're cutting it on a 60-degree angle, okay? And if you have one of these rulers, you got your 60-degree angle. I know there's some maths involved, but we can do it, don't worry. So it had us marking from the top over. I'll show you the back side here where they're all cutting it over. Marking a mark 22 inches. Well, since this is a small version, I thought, okay, I'll do 11 inches and then still do my 60-degree. So it has you marking from this side over and then doing your 60-degree angle and making your points all the way down. So like I said, you could have it on this ruler, but since I have a big ruler, I'm going to use this one. So here's my 60-degree, and I'm going to line up my points from the top of my quilt where I've marked it at the 11 inches. I'll show you right here so you know, not fluffing you. See, there's 11 inches over. There's my first little mark, okay? Now I'm going to line that up with my 60-degree angle, lining up the top of the quilt, trying to make it as nice and straight as possible because you don't want any flub ups. And you can use, this is disappearing ink, but I don't want to use that because I want to mark all my lines, and by the time I mark all my last one, my first one may disappear. So I'm going to toss that to the side. You could usually use a pencil or like a dressmaker's marker or a pen or something like that, something that's going to last. You're cutting on that line anyway, so nobody's ever going to see it, okay? So, and then you want to line that up and then mark a little mark on the bottom of that angle that you have, and then just move it down, lining up the top of that 60-degree at the top mark, and then making another mark at the bottom, okay? Just plug in your way down, do your little line across, add it up. So and then it said to do 1.5 inches over from the other corner, okay? So that's exactly what I did. I marked my 1.5 inches. There's my little mark right there. So I have one more line to do, okay? Because I did my 1.5 inches from the bottom, okay? And you have to mark your corners opposite each other, okay? So this is the last line I need to do. So when I take my 60-degree and I line it up right at the very top here, and then just make a mark, line it up, make a mark, mark, mark. Okay, so I've made all my marks. I'm going to add the lines together. That's where a nice big ruler like this comes in handy, or even a yardstick or something like that. As long as you have all your stuff marked out, you can use a nice big yardstick just to get the angle across, right? So just go from one mark to the next. Just enough so you can see it, because that's going to be your cut line. Then shift your fabric up a bit. Hopefully you got a nice table to work at, nice space. Okay. And even if if you only had the small one, it's still possible, right? Just do your lining up from line to line. You're just going to have a little more movements down the quilt, that's all, okay? Okay, and I've got my marks all the way down to here. Okay, and then I'll show you what it looks like with the marks, okay? So you can see in the little darky pink, here, here, and here, going all the way down. And then there's one at the bottom that's at the angle. So these corners are going to end up being reversed, and then the middle panel gets flipped. So it's in reverse too, but then these two ones stay the same. Kind of gives it that little weird kind of look to the front. See, it's kind of cool. So why not try something different, right? Okay, so now we're going to cut those lines Oops. And trying to use the, like a big ruler as you can to try to make it nice and smooth. Nice sharp blade. Make sure you follow it from one point to the next. Try not, and proper pressure all the way. Like spread your hand out like pterodactyl hands or something. Get them out there. Spread them, give it proper pressure. Sometimes there's those grippy handle things that have got some Velcro or something on it. You know, use that if you need to, okay? So be very, very, very careful when you're using or shifting your fabric around, because these are all salvage edges, right? They're gonna twist like nobody's business. So just shift it off to the side. Try not to handle them too much. Now you want to cut the second line. And you're gonna do it just like you did for the drawing of it. If you have to go from one point to the next, then do so. Because I can't do it all in one movement. So I know from that point up, I'm good. I'm just gently moving the fabric, trying not to twist it or yank it. Hopefully, I'm trying to get the bottom of my cut line in, so I only use two reaches of the ruler. Okay. There we go. Oop. Oh, is he still attached at the top? Uh-oh. Just a smidge. So like 2 little fibers. Okay, so we don't want to lose the way that these were set out, right? But we don't want to get them in the way of our cutting. So we're just going to move them off to the side. Okay, make sure you're lined up on your line. You see, you got the iron ready for this. You do need to press those seams. It's important. So, and since we're trying to do this, making a baby quilt without binding and making it one smooth motion with just your domestic and not having to worry about, you know, having to have a long arm or having to put binding on or anything like that. This is binding included. Okay. There we go. Move that there. And then the last one, I'm just going to flip it around just so it's easier to get in one movement here. And then we're going to set this back up, pin it together, sew, and then that's our quilt top. You could easily use just a plain piece of fabric or a pattern piece or a panel or something like that to do the same idea. I just wanted to do something a little funny, funky, not funny, funky for my neighbor. So she's always liking my videos and stuff like that. She's a big supporter, so I want to just show her a bit of thanks. Okay, so that'll go there. This will go on the other side. This will go, did I get that right? I think I did, yeah. And then this one should go this way. And then this one, right. And then that, I believe. That's the way it's going to go. Okay. You're going to have to definitely square this up afterwards. Definitely. Because it's not going to be square once we finish it. Okay. So you just want to line up some of those seams. Okay, I just want to make sure I have this right before I end up pinning. Okay. Because that'd be the top corner. This would be the middle. Okay. And then this one. Oops. Nope. Yes. Sorry, get myself confused. It's easy. Okay, yeah, there, and then this one on the end. There we go. Okay, we're good to go. Okay. So either pin the big ones or the small ones, what have you. I think I'm going to do the 2 small ones first, and then I'll pin those, like do this to this, and then end up pinning these ones to these ones, okay? So let me just sit down for that. Grab my big pin cushion here. Okay. We just want to line them up. You may have to do this, like do this to get that visual connection of where it's going to line up. Okay, so these 2 seams, you know that the pink and the green and this purple, they line up. So let's make sure that they are locked in and as we move our way down. I know it's going to seem weird because we're pinning it this way, but it all adds up in the end. Okay, it's like that little cross section. Okay. And you can either press the seams open or press to one side, but you do need to press to get them to stay down because we're going to put the batting and then the backing, and then that's it. We're sewing all the way around, doing like a big old sleeping bag sort of thing. Stitch all the way around, leave a little hole to turn inside out. We'll be right side out at that point. Okay, so there we go. Let's do that one first. Okay, try and line up your edges. And you just want your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I noticed that the machine was bouncing around the last time we were videotaping, so we put some reinforcement at the top of my desk, so hopefully it doesn't do that anymore. I have to say our weather change has been quite dramatic here this week. We've had like +17, and then now today was really cold and rainy. But that's okay. We know spring's coming. Okay, now this is one corner done. Okay. Oops, minus the pin. Don't leave that in there. Okay. And we will press that after, but we'll flip that to there so we know where it is. And then we'll do this side. Okay. Now remember, like I said, you can flip it out to see if there's anything that lines up perfectly. Look, it's the green and the pink and the blue and all this right here. So flip that over. Pop a few pins. It had cutting 4.5 inches and 2.5 inches, and then kind of alternating the color as it went around. But I just flipped in a few middle colors here and there, and just, you know, add a little spice to life. I do my own thing. I crazy that way. See, I'll see, oh, I like that, but I'll do this instead, or I'll do this, or I'll add that, you know. For the Elephants on Parade quilt, I added yarn tails to all the elephants and button eyes to the critters, the birds and the turtle and the frog, and it turned out really well. I'll be happy to mail it off to my niece very shortly. I wish I could hand deliver it, but that's not possible. Not this year. All right, there we go. So there's our other corner done. Okay, now we're going to add those pieces to our middle section here. Okay, now we figure out what lines up here. So, okay, those seams again. Okay, so that's a good start. And you can use all different sizes. If you just want to do 1 inches or 3 inches or 2.5 inches, you have a bunch of stacks of 2.5 inch strips or something like that. It's a great way, because then either way you cut it, you'll have it lining up with your seams and stuff, but all the colors will be all crazy, right? It'll still be the same thing, just a mix of colors. So make a bag out of it. That'd be cute. I think a bag would be neat. I'm making a bag. I'm always having ideas for bags and clocks. I have no, oh, that'll make a nice clock. Oh, that'll make a nice bag. I know, it's silly, but that's the way I am. All right, I'm gonna say this is the boring part, but you do have to do it because you really want those seams to match right up and be precise, right? It adds to the illusion. I know there's lots of free patterns online. You could probably find a variation of that for free, but I like to help support our, you know, local quilt magazines and stuff like that. I like to have a nice hard copy to look at and show people and stuff like that. And they're great ideas. My friend who runs a convenience store had sent me a picture of the newest one out, so I'm like, yeah, I always know. There's another one. I'm not much for the other magazines, but I'll definitely like my quilt magazines. And as you can tell, when I pressed it this after I'd sewn the strips together, I did press my seams open. Okay, almost there. It makes such a pretty little quilt. Even, you know, you can do it in, you know, shades of blues and grays or something like that. You know, or pastels, or even Christmas colors. I think it would look really nice. Which is kind of not necessarily that, but it's got reds and greens and more solids. Looks like a solid color. So we were, I mentioned on one of our Long Arm Wednesday shows, we were making ketchup. We do lots of other things here at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, and we're always learning and adventuring, and always open-minded to different ideas and trying new things. So we thought we'd make our own ketchup. Well, the first batch turned out so fantastic, we decided to make a second batch. We'll make it a little spicier this time. We used one of our homemade chilies from our garden last year, and it was just enough spice. It was perfect. Okay, so there we go. There's our 3 pieces together. Okay, now we're gonna add that other corner panel back on. Okay, this one right here. Okay, make sure we're getting this right. Yeah. Sorry, I got fuzzies up my nose. Okay, we know those seams match up, so we're gonna put them together. And then we're going to give this a good press, okay? I broke the drawer on my machine, but I found the little knobby, so hopefully I can glue it back on. It's the things you do, right? And I don't want to buy a new one because I'm too cheap. I had it all tidied up because I went to a guild meeting the other night, and we were putting together slab blocks for quilts for Ronald McDonald House, and oh, sorry, not Ronald McDonald House. I think actually that's where we'll end up going, but some of them. But they were to celebrate Canada's 150th. So I had my big machine next to this tiny little featherweight. But it was cute. Those are definitely a nice little light machine to take to little meetings like that, or little sewing sessions, or you know, work groups and stuff like that. So I'll have to see about getting myself one. I have a lighter machine. I should just be happier with that. That's all. I'll just take my. I just missed the auto cut. I wanted the auto cut. It's like I get so spoiled. I don't want to do without the auto cut anymore. I had a little sewing lesson here last weekend, and she's so cute. It was actually on her machine. It needed some little maintenance, so my husband, he tweaked it up, and it's all working and stuff like that. So, and when I told her, you know, she has to get used to using the cutter on the side, she was like, "That's mine? That comes with my machine?" I go, "Yes." And she was just like fascinated with it. She was like cutting everything. I thought it was so cute. She's like, "Oh, I got this neat feature on my machine," and I was like, I'm so happy that she was happy with the little cutter on the side. She's like, "Well, I don't need my scissors." I'm like, "Yes." Adorable. I love it when they're just learning to sew and they're figuring out their own machine and what it does and what it can do. All right, so we'll make sure those are all together and no pins, and then I'm gonna give it a press. Okay, I think we're good. So put this here and this here. Oops, move my little corner in a bit here. Okay. Like I said, it's not gonna, you're gonna have to square it up because I guess my other angle on the other side was a little bit more than this one, so, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm just gonna press them down to one side. Okay. This up a bit. Okay, try and get that one seam on the whole board. I love my board. When I first saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, that's huge. I'm never gonna, you know, why do I need such a big board? Everybody needs a big board like this, everybody. Okay, who y'all? You will find a use for it. And I see some ladies, they take the card table and stuff like that, or like a big card table, and then they're putting batting on it, and then pretty much making their own really big ironing board. And I think that's a fantastic idea. And when my shop expands, I'll be doing the same thing. A nice big iron station. And I love my iron too. It's very, as it says, very reliable. It's got a nice steam to it, and it's nice and hot. Okay, one little tiny one to go here. And then we're just going to put a little heat on the front of those seams. Okay. I like the color mix. I like the green and the pink and the purple and a little bit of turquoise, and I had a little bit of this marbly pink left over, so I thought, why not? Why not? Just mix it all up. I'm sure it'll be loved. Well, here's hoping. They're such sweet neighbors. They really are. The cutest little family. There. Okay. Alrighty, so now there's our top. Okay, there's our top all done. Isn't that pretty? So like I said, you can just go from a just a panel piece, or just a chunk of dark fabric, or a chunk of fabric, whatever you wish to do this sort of idea. If you wanted to learn how to do the quilt with just the backing, the batting, and the top. Okay, so now we're gonna move that off. We have to square up everything to go with the backing and the batting, so I think I'm gonna just do it all at the same time. Okay. Okay, I wanted this face down. Okay, and then we're gonna lay the backing on top of the top with its good side down. I found this pretty little paisley left over in my stash. I think I'm not sure where the back of it is. Oh, it's actually on that quilt. There we go. That's the other part. It's on the purple one back there. Little Bird told me, I think that's when that one was. Okay, we're just gonna lay it on top. Flip this over. Okay. And make sure you have your backing all the way around your top. Okay. Because I have to trim that. That's going to be a little bit smaller, so it's okay. Try and have it lined up. If there's some sort of pattern, then I try and line up with the pattern. But if it's just, you know, whatever, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Okay. So lay it out. Pop a few pins in to keep it stable before you trim, but don't come anywhere near those pins, okay? It's not good for your rotary cutter. And you want these the same size, exactly the same size. Normally in traditional quilting, if you were to do it on your own domestic, you'd want 4 inches around each side extra for shrinkage and movement within your quilt and rolling and stuff like that. So, but this kind of style, we wanted exactly the same size. All 3 pieces. Okay. I know, all the tedious part is the pinning. but it is necessary. Okay, is that lining up there? Yep, but that's going to need a trim. That's just there. And now you want to pick a spot to be able to turn this with the right side out. So I want to pick a spot that doesn't have any stretchy seams on it, like anything along the side here. I'd try and pick one of these solid colors up here to choose to turn it right side out. Okay? Because you're going to be shifting that fabric around, and the less you are dealing with salvage edges, the better. It'll distort your quilt. Okay, I think we got that pinned around. I'm going to try and square it up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now I'm trying, this is a flat edge here. I want to come all the way up to the top because that's my smallest spot there. Oops, went off my board there. That's okay. All right, now we're going to move this. Shift it this way. And do the same thing, just try and square it up. Okay. Move this in a bit. I don't want to come close to them. So we actually picked up a few more of the cans of tomatoes to make more ketchup, but we're gonna make them for gifts for people, so they can try homemade ketchup. I mean, it's really that good, honest to goodness. Like, and we made homemade relish. Last year was our first time, and boy, that disappeared fast. And that I liked it because I can control the sweetness of it. I didn't have to have the, you know, the 2 cups of sugar or the 4 cups of sugar or whatever it is that they were calling for, right? So I'm just trying to get the bulk off the corner here. There we go. Move it out of the way. And that's the best thing about when you're making things for yourself. You know where it comes from. Like our chili peppers, we knew we grew those in the garden and we dried them ourselves, and we just kind of gave it a hand crushed and tossed it in with the whole tomato mixture as it was cooking. We didn't, and then we just strained it afterwards. So we didn't leave any of the seeds in it or anything like that, and they didn't get pulverized. Okay. Line her up. I think the original size of what I had done the strips was about 42, and I was hoping in the end it'd be about maybe 38 all squared up sort of thing, to 38 by 38 for the size of the quilt, and I think that's a great size for a little baby quilt. Okay. And one more side here, open that little bit down there. Okay, and then we're sewing it just all the way around, like literally this is the longest part of it. Was cutting and trimming, and we're good. Okay, almost there. I don't know, I like trying new things. That's why I'm always looking for new ideas, you know. If anybody has an idea and wants to see it, or has, you know, there's a few things we would like to touch on here at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. We're going to try a wedding ring, the wedding ring quilt, that sort of pattern idea. We have the cutter via the AccuCut, AccuQuilt, and AccuCut, well, whatever, that thing. We have it via that, and we're thinking of trying to do maybe a red and white sort of themed idea to help celebrate Canada. You know what I mean? So, all right. So, like I said, you need to pick a spot. So now that we have it all trimmed and pinned, now it's just easy sew. Okay. Keep this handy. It's a handy tool. So I'm going to use the green section here to be able to turn it right side out. So the right side of the quilt. So just to confirm, you have the right side of your quilt top that you want here, your backing facing each other, like the good sides together, with the batting on the back. Now this is 100% bamboo. Yeah, non-bleached bamboo. And I like the bamboo and the cotton just because it wears very well. And I just, you know, it's a renewable source really. So I prefer the renewable source ones. And do a little back stitch when you get to the end. I'm just going to increase my stitches per inch there. And now to be sure, when you're going around, normally you stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You want to kind of give this a good 1/2 inch. Now just stop and pivot when you get to the corners, lifting up your foot, and then just come back down again. And then just move your material. Like I said, you're still dealing with salvage edges, so you got to be careful. I know they'll still be pinned, but you really don't want it distorting. I was just going to say, I don't want to leave that one in there. So. And because some of the pieces I chose were not of the right size, like I gotta cut this big one here, not all my seams matched up, but that's okay. They don't have to. That's the whole point of, you know, having something fun and handmade and unique, and there's not gonna be another one out there like this, ever. Okay, and pivot. And we just want to make our way all the way back around again, all the way to the other side, but we want to make sure we're going in that gap, okay? And then we turn it to the right side out, and then we sew all the way around again at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then that way, where you could use a decorative stitch, you could use hand stitching, you can use a blanket stitch, you can do whatever, you zigzag. I mean, there's lots of funky ones I'm sure you got on your machine that you can try. Give it a go. Give it a go. That's what they're there for. All right. Okay. This is a good size for a nice little cuddle blanket. Well, be cuddle blanket for quite a few years. She's just a wee one. I think she's just a month old now. She's probably just over a month now. Okay, getting down to where we started. Just 2 solid colors, you know, gray and a pink or what have you. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to have anything too fancy. I mean, and the paisley is a flannel, so it'd be nice and soft, but I mean, you can use cotton, you can use flannel, you can use whatever. Use something recycled. Okay, we're almost there, and stop and pivot. I'm just going to come past this seam because I don't want it distorting as we're coming in and out, turning the fabric inside and out. That's exactly what I did on this side. I came to the other side. I started on the green, and to make sure that all that seam right there is not going to be pulled as we're working our fabric. Now we'll double check we have all of our pins out. Okay. I think so. Oh, no. Here we go. Okay, now here is a key point. We want to trim our little corners, okay, because that's going to be excess bulk we don't want in the inside. So we're just going to nip it right off. Got that little bulk, yeah. Don't include that in there. Okay, just all those 3 little pieces. Make sure they don't get lost on the inside of the quilt, because once you sew it up again, they're in there for life. Okay. No, we don't come near your stitching. Just come just shy of it, all right? Just come right close to it, okay? So now you take your gap and you put your hand in between the two good sides of your quilt, your top and your bottom, okay? Not in between your batting or anything else. Your two good sides, put your hand in there. And you want to go all the way to the other corner and pull it out, okay? And then go into the other corner and pull it out. And easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's what they're saying nowadays. And then just poke it out with your finger or chopstick or some sort of tool. If you have a stylist, what have you, okay? Just poke all those little corners out. Should be one more. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, now we take this, we flip it around. Okay, make sure this is lining up here. Okay, good. I thought maybe I forgot a pin in there. Sometimes it makes it look a little wonky if you forgot a pin. So make sure you double check, okay? So now we're gonna tuck these two raw edges in together and give them a pin. Okay, because you're going to sew all the way around. And this is what seals it together and creates the no binding quilt. And it's super easy. And you could really do this with any size. And to complement, you could just leave it the way it is. It doesn't, I don't think it really needs to be stitched together, but I mean, it's completely up to you. I will probably follow a couple of these lines or maybe just do a couple little cross hatches or something in there just to keep it all together. Depending on the size, the bigger that is, probably you want to make sure you're putting in more stitches to hold it down, right? So, but if people who are afraid of binding or don't want to do binding or don't have the time to do the machine stitching and then the hand stitching of the binding, because that's really the way it should be, because that makes the best of the looking of the quilt. This is a great way. This is a great way. Super easy, and you can just do it on your own little domestic and make a beautiful quilt. Okay. So here's another chance. You can put colored threads in your machine, use pink or purple or what have you to complement all the way around, if you so wish. Okay, you want to make sure that those seams are next to each other as you're going, okay, because you're going to, when you're stitching around, you're pretty much stitching down the batting that was at the end, like on the other side of this, you're stitching it down, okay? So just work from one way to the other. For some reason I had myself going upside down here, but that's okay. We'll go that way. And then just stop and pivot when you come to the corners. Or if you wanted to, if you don't like corners, you could have rounded sewed those beforehand and then just curved cut it and then turn it out and it would have just been a round corner. No big deal. Don't stress. Okay, whoops, it was poking me. And then this is where you sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, okay? And that'll seal this edge up and give this a nice little edging to the quilt, okay? And you can hand quilt it in between, like all the way to tack it together. You could just put little ties with yarn or embroidery floss. There's many ideas. I mean, don't. As I say, your imagination, that's the only one that's limiting you, so you got it. Just got to use it. All right, just plugging away. So that's pretty much what we're doing. I'll show you what it looks like right now so you can see what the little edge is going to look like when it's all finished all the way around. And that's that. Put in a few stitches and it's done. So thanks for watching Weekend Project. We really appreciate you subscribing and liking here at the Mom Pop Quilt Shop. And we like all your comments. We're always happy to hear from you. So fill us in if you want anything or looking for something specific or want to see a show on. I'm more than willing to try something. I like trying things new. And check out Weekend Project and Long Arm Wednesday. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.